Hello and welcome back to Seconds Out. My name is Eamon Khan here with Ben the Bane Davis taking on UFC GOAT Anderson Silva's son, Gabe. Ben, first of all, how are you doing, sir? And secondly, are you insane?
Definitely some screws loose, man. I've always been a bit of a madman with these types of opportunities and the positions I keep putting myself in, but feeling great, feeling ready and prepared. My coach and I have hammered down a game plan that I think is going to be pretty effective on the 23rd.
What's this about for you? Why are you entering into the boxing ropes?
Man, I mean, in as many words, why not? You know, it's a really awesome opponent who I have so much respect and admiration for what his father accomplished and did in the sport. I mean, I'm a play-by-play commentator for mixed martial arts promotions. That is one of the mixed martial arts goats. And the opportunity to share the ring with him is something I just couldn't pass up. And I've been trying to get involved in influencer boxing for the last several months. So, you know, baptism by fire, this is a really difficult entry, but I think there'll be some smooth sailing either way we cut this big.
Baptism by fire, of course, and a bit of a moment really for you that your first fight you'll have against you in the opposite corner is Anderson Silva.
Yeah, I mean, that's all well and good. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who's in his corner. He's got to be the one in the ring with me. And we've broken down the tape. We've watched every fight that he's had, and he's not his dad. So I don't give a fuck who's in his corner. It's not going to help him.
Yeah, for juniors in sports specifically, but specifically even more so in combat sports, it's always a tough road when you're taking on the shoes of your mother or your father. But what's your scout report on Gabe Silver?
You know, Gabe's a guy who likes to emulate a lot of what Anderson does defensively with the slick head movement. You know, some kicks to set up the punches in his Muay Thai and kickboxing fights. Obviously, he was stripping all that away. And when we broke down the pro boxing debut we had in April against a guy named D'Angelo, who's an 0-6 boxer, great debut, Gabe. There wasn't really a lot to it, man. It's a lot of jabs and crosses, setting up that right hand, going down low with the lead, and then coming over the top. Like, it's pretty fundamental stuff. He's got some good movement. I like it, but he's not sitting down on all of the power, and he's not throwing a lot of diversity on the feet. And when he's backed up against the ropes, there are a lot of defensive weaknesses. That's why he got flatlined by a dude named Vinny, who was an 0-0 kickboxer in his last amateur fight. He's got some big defensive holes, and people can take advantage of it as they already have.
Now, let's get into the training side of it. I heard you've been getting in sparring, good sparring, and easily getting the better of the likes of Jack, Fig, and others in the boxing ring. But talks about the training. Were you surprised by the fact everyone says, look, you don't know if you want to fight until you take the first punch in the face? Were you surprised that you wanted to continue when you did take that punch?
No, I'm not fucking surprised. You know, I've done a lot of hard sparring over the years. And I've got a lot of confidence in my chin, my durability. And, you know, being out here in Tampa, I graced Tampa South with Billy Q and a lot of the guys that he's been training with and sharpening the tools with this stable of dudes. I've taken a lot of hard punches the last 5-6 days. You know what I mean? And, you know, one of the big things that I've been commended for while being out here is toughness. They've called me a pit bull. I'm a fucking pit bull. So I'm not shocked that taking a punch isn't going to phase me. Taking 50 punches isn't going to phase me. Like, I do not see him finishing me on September 23rd. I just don't. I've fought guys over the last 5 days that are bigger, powerful, that sit down way harder on strikes, and I keep coming forward. So he's going to have to shoot me.
Weren't you supposed to spar Dillon Danis?
Yeah. Dillon reached out to me, and I can send the DMs if you want, but Dillon reached out to me because I was chirping on a couple posts of his, because, again, Dillon Danis is the easiest guy to make fun of in the world. And he's been doing a great job with this build up to the Prime card and, I guess, rallying people by slut-shaming Logan's wife. Weird tactic, but okay. But yeah, I was tripping a little bit, and he reaches out and he's like, I'm gonna put you in a hospital, like, I'll fly you out and, you know, we can spar. And I was like, dude, here's my number. Here's the airport that I'll be flying out of. Here's the date that I think would work best for me, because I was recovering from a foot fracture. And he ghosted. You know, he ducked as per usual, which is likely what's going to happen on the 14th. So that's Dillon. He's not going to show up.
We'll talk a little bit more about Dillon in a short moment. Let's get back to yourself. I read your interview with Cage Side Press, and you said, I'm thinking fourth round TKO or get it done on the scorecards. Very specific way of thinking. Is this a game plan led fight here for you to get the victory?
It has to be. It has to be a game plan focused fight. You know, if I'm going in there and I'm undisciplined and I'm not composed, then a lot of things can go wrong very quickly. I recognize that. He's taller. He's going to have a lot more weight. He has a lot more experience. So if I'm not sticking to the script and I'm not trying to execute to the best of my ability, then those are the instances where I get taken out early and he catches me in rounds 1 or 2 and I go down. It's a likelihood. You know, I'm not delusional, but I do think sticking to the script, executing the game plan, and staying disciplined is going to ultimately result in him gassing, me taking the advantage late, or just overwhelming him as the fight goes on and getting it done on the scorecards. I think it's very possible for me to win this. I mean, we run this fight 10 times. I'm confident that I'll get that 30, 40% of the time. You know what I mean? And the other times I don't, it's a close fight. It's a hard fight, and it's going to be a competitive one either way. There's a low probability of him getting me out of there early. That's my thinking.
Sounds like you've looked at this from every angle. Speaking of the angles that you've looked at, of the many boxers that you've seen through your own eyes, of the many MMA fighters you've watched with your own eyes, who is your inspiration? What style would you like to replicate or are even a little bit like?
That's a good question. The answer, I think, to what style I'll be replicating and what looks I think people might find familiar is a lot of it boils down to my coach, Showtime, Seth Wheeler, his background with training. These guys like DJ Dillashaw and Dwayne Ludwig is a blue belt under Dwayne. And so, you know, you're going to see a lot of the Dillashaw-esque movements. If you know TJ and his fight style, I think that might be what people can look forward to.
You good for the weight? I know it's been in contention.
Yeah, what do you mean it's been in contention? I've been underweight this entire time. I've been on weight since I signed practically. No, so I mean, yeah, it was 165 initially. That was like August 20th or 21st when we first signed the contract. Then he bitches for 3 or 4 days, and Mams goes, "Oh, Gabe wants it at 170 instead of 165. Can you do that?" And I was like 168. So I was like, "Yeah, that's fine for me. I'm still going to weigh in at 165 just because." But
is this a one and done for you, or you have a dream fight in mind?
I don't know if there's a dream fight necessarily. I mean, I'm more of an anytime, any place, anyone individual. So, you know, and I'll say this, I need to educate myself a lot more in the influence of boxing. I've only put my eyes on this really in the last couple months of 2023. And so there's a lot of people out there that maybe they had a great 2022 and they had some good fights in their fan favorites. And I'm not aware of them really. So I don't know about dream fights, but it's not going to be a one and done. I'm going to be around. You're going to get used to it in this scene. And if that's in the booth, if that's in the ring, I'm going to be a prominent figure here in influence of boxing moving forward.
Couple of final things, I'll let you go. Big fight that I want to get your thoughts on, KSI versus Tommy Fury. How do you see that fight going?
It's a tough one, man. You know, I think that there's a lot of big takeaways from Tommy Fury's fight with Jake Paul and how I think Tommy's going to neutralize KSI. That jab of Tommy, it's going to be a thorn in the side of that creative movement, the stance switching, jumping around, the leaping in. Like, Tommy's just going to sit on that jab all night long and stop every entry that KSI wants to try and force. So it's either going to be KSI knocks him out early with like a crazy thing, maybe an elbow again, we don't know. Or I think Tommy Fury, the likely outcome here, again, I don't want to say likely in a disrespectful manner, but what I think the majority of people are thinking is Tommy Fury is going to dominate.
You see a route to victory for Dillon Danis over Logan Paul?
There is none. There is just none. He's a horrible boxer. I've seen sparring footage of him. He's released a little bit of sparring footage. He's not a stand-up guy. He's a jiu-jitsu player. That is his wheelhouse, and he's never developed tools on the feet. And I think if he does make it to the ring, a guy in Logan Paul, who in his own right is not that great of a boxer, Logan's okay, but not in the right home about it. I think Logan's going to destroy him.
Crazy scenes last weekend over your side of the pond. Israel Adesanya not looking like the Adesanya of usual, dropping the title to a relentless Sean Strickland. Big upset over there.
Oh, huge upset, man. I mean, Adesanya was like minus 675 on the betting line coming into that. And I think we all wrote Strickland off because of his performance against Alex Pereira. You go, okay, here's the existing info we have against a very sophisticated kickboxer who, you know, had some success and glory in all these places. You just look back on that fight and you go, Strickland got dominated. He got put out. So I was one of the people that believed Adesanya was going to come in there and kick KO him and do the whole what Izzy does typically. But Sean's discipline and composure is what won him that fight. He stuck to the script. He stuck to what worked. Fundamental 1-2, the teeth to the body was super effective, and shutting down the leg kicks. I think that's the big anecdote that not a lot of people are talking about, or that I haven't seen much of, is you shut down the leg kicks, the rest of Izzy's game can't get going. And after that knockdown in round 1, it seemed that Izzy was just a little bit unsure of what to do. Granted, he did go out there and win the next round, but rounds 3 to 5, Izzy just looked shut out on the feet, which I'm not used to seeing. I don't think anyone's used to seeing Adesanya really get, not bullied necessarily, but not have any answers. So huge upset. I'm very interested to see what the Sean Strickland title reign looks like. He's a madman. He's a crazy dude. But I've heard he's a pretty good dude behind the scenes as well. So happy for his success. And Adesanya, he'll bounce back. He's done it before. Will he get the belt again? I don't know. But Israel Adesanya is, people can take shots at his personality, but that dude is a fucking fighter, and he knows how to fight, and he'll be back.
Well, Sean Strickland picked up the gold, but you'll be going for silver. I'll leave the final word with yourself. What happens when you step through the ropes against Gabe Silver?
Listen, win, lose, or draw, I think everyone's going to be very surprised at what I bring into the squared circle. A guy who has never fought before is making the debut. I know that people are expecting me to go out there and get washed instantly. A one-punch knockout, a first-round KO, whatever it is. And I'm just very much looking forward to proving people wrong. And proving everybody, hey, I know that I call this shit for a living as a play-by-play commentator, but when I lace these up, I'm just as fucking game as everybody else. And when I take Silva into those deep waters, and I know him, Anderson, Khalil, everybody in that camp is not expecting me to be there. When we get there, that's when you're going to see what the fuck I'm about. So Ben, September 23rd, win, lose, or draw, I'm crushing something. Fears probably.
Ben, a real pleasure speaking to you. Thanks for speaking to SecondsOut. Wish you all the best. Looking forward to your fight too. We'll speak soon.
Thanks, brother.